Hello and welcome to this COVID-19 care group study based on a study guide I developed on 6 simple intentions for staying sane inside of this global pandemic. As we've said, sanity is the ability to think and behave in a normal manner, a rational manner. It means sound mental health. And rational just means to think clearly, logically, and sensibly. And as we discussed, we want to be living our life through an integrated mind. We want to be integrated body, mind, spirit. You might say heart, mind, body. We are triune, and we want to live in an integrated way in our life where all of our body, our mind, and our heart are connected, our gut's connected. And so we talked about our first intention last time, calm the nerves. How are you doing? Did you learn anything new? I want to hear from you. What did you learn about yourself? Did you perhaps have a revelation like I had that, wow, I never learned how to have a calm nervous system. I grew up in a hyper dysfunctional family. I grew up in a family that yelled and screamed and was high passion and, different nationalities, Italian, Spanish, Latin, we're all going to have our different personalities that we have learned and developed through our life. But we learned that personality is how we show up for life. It's not really our true self. It's not our essence. Maybe you learned that I want to know more about my essence. I want to know more about my God-breathed identity, who God made me to be before I was shaped by perhaps circumstances or unhealthy situations or negative narratives. That's what we're all about here at the Stronger Everyday online community. Please join us. Private Facebook group. You can just go to my website, JanelleReardon.com. I'm Janelle, by the way, and I am a trauma-informed therapist, life coach, and author, adjunct professor, wear many hats. So today, I want to keep these really short so that I know our attention spans are short these days, but I also know you've got a lot going on, right? We are in a new normal. We have been forced home. Forced is a strong word, but it's the truth of the matter. Our schools are closed. Our churches are closed. Workplaces are closed. We're working from home now. We're crisis schooling. We're pandemic parenting. We are social distancing. Oh my goodness. This is a time where our personal freedoms, perhaps for the first time, have been limited here in America, the land of the brave and the free, right? So when we entered this year of Perfect Vision 2020, little did you know that this perfect vision would involve a global pandemic. But here we are. And I am always going to try to find the silver lining in any dark cloud. I am an optimist. I am a faith-filled woman who is going to do her best to find the gold, right? To mine for gold. That's why I do what I do. I'm in the helping profession because I like to help other people reframe negative narratives, reframe histories of hurts into powerful, powerful visions of victory. So here we are, highly unpredictable. Yet it is predictable in its contagious nature, this COVID-19. Now we're in the whole realm of second sweeping storms of this, second winds, second movements of this. It's just crazy. So our second intention then is to be open, to open our hearts and our minds and even our bodies to new rhythms in our lives. I speak always twofold, from personal to professional, personal to family. I'm always thinking of how I can improve my own life, but also how can I improve the lives of those that are in my sphere of influence. We all have influence. How are we going to choose to utilize this gift of influence in our lives. Whether I am going into a grocery store, whether I am going to speak before 10,000 people or perform brain surgery or deliver the mail or homeschool my children, we all have influence. Yes, some have a broader sphere, but that doesn't make you any less important. Where you are right now, in this here and now today, is critically vital to those who are in your sphere of influence. If you're single, you have a sphere of influence. We all have one, and I cannot urge you enough to take a pause, maybe pause the video for a second and just breathe in. Maybe do the breath exercise we did in the last one where you breathe in 5 times through your left nostril to activate your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, so you can move through life from more stability. And think about your sphere of influence. On my website, I have a beautiful teaching on this. I have a chart that you can fill out and name who's in your sphere of influence so that you can get very specific and strategic. Who, right now, today, am I called to influence? I am not called to influence everybody today. Even within my work, that has been limited. So we have to understand some boundaries that have been set in our lives, been forced upon our lives, actually. So how then do we open our heart, our mind, our body to new rhythms? Perhaps we write an intention as simple as this: I am wide open to learning new rhythms in my life, in my work, and in my family. Or maybe we should say in my life, in my family, in my work. I am open to learning new daily rhythms in my faith walk. That's something that I have that is how I am utilizing this intention during this COVID-19, because for a very, very long time, I have known and been drawn to the more contemplative practices of my spirituality, of my faith, which would be stillness, silence, solitude, prayer, devotion. Not easy. I'm a mover and a shaker. I was a dancer most of my life, so I love movement. But one of the most powerful movements can be no movement, to be a pause, to be stillness. You certainly see it in the life of a caterpillar being transformed into a butterfly. If they are not still, if they do not embrace this period of time inside the cocoon, they can't become a butterfly. So I now have put into practice in my life mindfulness. I've set up a little space upstairs in my home where my yoga mat stays out, where I can practice my beautiful mindful movement that I love in my life that has meant so much to me. It has caused me to come home to my body. Embodiment's what we call that in psychology. I was a dancer, so therefore I became anorexic at times. I've never had a real healthy relationship with my body. And so I'm just really putting into practice things that are helping me be more embodied and really love who I am inside of my body. And so this has been a time where I am open to new rhythms and rituals inside of my faith practice. So that's my intention. Part of this is for you to set your own intentions. I'm just giving you like an overview that I want this week's intention or this second intention to be about rhythms in your life. Here we are being forced home to be with our family. We are going to have quarantine quarrels. We are going to have times of conflict and difficulty. We can't escape it because we can't escape the people that we're living with. It may bring up real uncomfortable things in your marriage, or in your relationships with those in your family that you can't escape. And so this is a do or die, tried and true kind of time. It's either going to make or break us, isn't it? I'm just being real. I'm always real. I try very hard to be very sober in our growth, our personal growth journey, our spiritual journey. So today I wanted to just offer you some wise words from this book, Deep Living, with the Enneagram, because the Enneagram is one of the tools, the emotional health tools I use in my own life, but I also use it in my practice, and we've used it in our family life. The Enneagram, you can learn all about it. So many links available. You can go to our beautiful private Facebook group and get links to how to test and take this test. It's a personality typing for sure. But what I love most about the Enneagram is that it is a tool that shows you the motives behind why you do what you do. So it goes deep, and hence I love this book. Is really one of my new favorites. I highly recommend it if you're new to the Enneagram, and it's ENNEAGRAM. Just means 9 ways, basically. And it's based on 9 types, and you will take a test and you will find out what number you are from 1 to 9. They'll give you a scale. Sometimes your first 3 numbers might be very close together. They might be far apart. I tested a type 2, and so that's the helper, the giver. And then there are subtypes, so I'm a social 2. And that means I'm a very strong leader. I like being in charge, but I also love to help. So it's just been such a life-changing tool for me to understand, like we were talking about last time, my personality, what I've learned to put on and show up for life. So it shows you that, but then it also draws you home to your essence and helps you peel away layers of things that you have maybe put on in life that aren't really your true self. You've just had to do it to survive life. You had to do it to get through the day. So I won't go over mine again, but it's applause, affirmation, all the A's. I needed my value from other people and from what I did in life. I no longer need that. I have done my heart work. I have been heart lifted, and I feel more integrated than ever because of the work of the Enneagram has been a huge part of that. So I encourage you, if you have identified some things about yourself or even about your family system that you do not want to take into the new normal that we're heading into post-COVID, I encourage you to take this time, this opportunity for personal growth, to perhaps put on a mindset of growth, to lean into your faith. If you're a follower, who's a person who sees the world through the framework of faith, take this time and grow and learn how to move beyond these things that you've identified in yourself and in your family that you don't like. I don't want to carry that into my new normal. I want to leave it here. So in the work that I do, another tool that I use is the Heart Lift method, which I've combined spiritual direction, coaching techniques, counseling principles, and synergetically put them together and integrated them into this methodology that I move my clients through. I do intentional intensive work. I am atypical therapeutic approach. We typically sometimes spend an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. But it's intense and it moves us through quicker, and we can come into our integrated life much, much quicker. And so the Heart Lift method, we look at our past. Excuse me just a second. We look at our past, our history of hurts, we bring it into the present, we examine it, we make sense of it, and we make peace with it, and we leave it right here so we can move into the future freedom that we have been born to receive from God above with victory. So it's a 3-step process, and you can read all about that process on the website. It's all there. There are so many tools. There are so many worksheets and PDFs that I've developed for you, and some beautiful meditative exercises that will help you move through that on your own. And if you need guidance, I'm always here. So in Deep Living, by, let me give you the author, Roxanne Howe Murphy. In the very end, she gives an appendix where she helps you personally explore how to presence presence for healing. Because we talked about presence so much with our first intention of calming the nerves and practicing the presence of being in the here and now, I thought this was just a perfect way to continue that discussion. And she goes through some steps, so I'm just going to go through them quickly with you. She says, following is a brief description of steps to support inner work based on many of the principles included in this book that lead to a compassionate approach to change. So she says, first and foremost, and this has been such a big part of our conversation, especially on the podcast, detect a troubling behavioral or emotional pattern. So just as I mentioned, if you have seen something during this global pandemic, when you're schooling your children, you know, these are things we did not sign up for. I did not ask for this to happen. I did not ask to be forced home. I did not ask to have to wear masks and gloves. And oh my goodness, all the frontliners, we love you. We're praying for you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh my goodness. You certainly did not sign up for this when you went to nursing school, when you went, you know, when you became a fireman, when you became a policeman, when you became a doctor, when you became a psychologist within the clinical settings. You didn't ask for this. This was not part of the training, I don't think. I don't know. So what is emerging? What is emerging during this time that you're recognizing as troubling and you don't like it? And you want it to go away. You want to make peace with it. You want to make sense of it. You want to seize the day. Carpe diem. She says, recognize a behavioral or emotional pattern that no longer supports your development and causes you pain or trouble. I really love how she put that. It is no longer supporting the way that you want to see life unfold for you. It could be anger. It could be a pattern of yelling. I just did the anatomy of yelling on the podcast. This week's podcast is the anatomy of repression. I have been a repressor my entire life. I learned it well. My husband's a repressor. We are in repressor recovery. We are in repression recovery. And I laugh, but it's so true. Recognition is a major step in beginning to release a pattern. I call it awareness. Most people go through their lives with little awareness that certain patterns are shaping their self-identity and limiting their freedom, or that such patterns developed as coping mechanisms but soon become unconscious, habitual, and overutilized, even when not beneficial. Remember, you are conditioned to think your reactions are caused by someone or something outside of you. Detecting such patterns can initially be difficult because they may feel like your second nature. Okay, this is where awareness is key. Awareness is a dangerous thing. My friend Annie in Thailand taught me a long time ago. Once you're aware, you have to be accountable. Detecting such patterns can initially be difficult, painfully difficult. Hear me here. This is not easy, what I'm asking you. They may feel like your second nature, so you must become a pattern detective. Each pattern offers cues that can get your attention, increase your awareness. They can be found in a number of experiential channels like thoughts, emotional experiences, attitudes, bodily, somatic sensations, or behaviors. Cues from some of those channels might be easier for you to recognize. Okay, she gives a beautiful example, and I'll share it. For example, you might notice that you have a recurring thought or an emotional experience that's associated with a statement made by a colleague or a loved one. I call those family narratives that are negative, that have just repeat at Christmas gatherings and birthdays, and you know, she's the messy child. You know how messy she is. You know, she's the problem child. Boy, he's the blower. He explodes all the time. Okay. Or you might notice a faint but familiar body sensation resulting from your reaction to a situation, such as finding you're snarly with someone and then feeling tightness around your head. Or you might feel apprehensive and have a thought such as, I'm going to get emotionally hurt if I say something. I think we all know when we have these sensations, we just might not be attuned to them and aware of what to do with them. So I'm going to go on to the second point. She says, once you recognize the pattern or your response or how you feel in your body, maybe when someone comes up that's hurt you before and you feel unsafe in their presence, you might start feeling sick to your stomach. We have to normalize that pattern. So how do we do that? Remember that having automatic patterns is completely normal, and that unfortunately, most people spend a great deal of energy expressing themselves through these patterns. Realize that you're among the fortunate individuals becoming aware of the painful effects of patterns that do not yield beneficial outcomes, and that you are on a courageous journey to release your patterns. My book, Overcoming Hurtful Words, it's really a memoir if you want to talk about emotional healing. It's an emotional healing memoir. It is Janelle working through her need to be approved and affirmed and have the applause of other people so that she'll feel better about herself. Yeah. I wish I hadn't had to write that book. But I did. And I am hopeful that it helps you if you need help rewriting your story, rewriting any negative narratives that you're just sick and tired of them. You're just so sick and tired. I was so sick and tired of being a people pleaser. I was so sick and tired of letting people use their words to make me feel small. I was so tired of people. Well, people didn't make me, I allowed them to make me feel small. So I was sick and tired of me, Janelle, allowing people to have that kind of affect on me. I couldn't think for myself. I couldn't talk for myself. I was like a chameleon, always changing so people would love me and like me, so then I would feel okay and I'd feel good about myself and I would feel safe. Until I didn't. Until I got unglued. As Lisa TerKeurst writes in her beautiful book, Unglued, I was unglued. Totally unglued. God just started taking away all my defenses, all my coping, and I couldn't cope and I couldn't defend. I just couldn't. I fell apart. I literally fell apart. I fell apart. But praise be to God who puts us back together again through his love and his compassion and his grace and his empathy. And he puts people around us who surround us with empathy, who teach us how to navigate and write a new story. I'm so grateful for the wise mentors in my life, for the wise counselors, for the friends, for the family, for the love of others. She then says, once you've recognized the pattern, you have to normalize that pattern, right? You have to realize that I've got to find a different way to do things in life. So that's what she means there. Then you have to be with your experience of the pattern. So lean in a little close here. So once you've recognized it, you have to observe it. Why do I do what I do? That's how I say it in my book, Overcoming Hurtful Words. Why do I do the things I do? There's actually a beautiful book by Tim Clinton, the president of the American Association of Christian Counseling, called Why Do I Do the Things I Do? It's the best book. It's so good. You have to observe your pattern with an open mind and curiosity so you can see it more clearly. I don't like that I get angry and explode and hurt those around me. I don't like it. How do I change that? I get help. Step one. I look for help. Approach the pattern with an open mind in this way. May feel strange since you've probably been used to avoiding it, denying it, or even judging yourself or being really hard on yourself. So you have to start saying something like, well, isn't that interesting? There it goes again. Yeah, I like to say that a lot. I definitely lived life with a whole shame storm around me. Shoulding myself all the time, shoulding on myself. I should do this, I should do that, I should. Right? Shame. I'm writing a whole lot about that in the next book that comes out in January. I'm so excited about that. But I do not live with a language of shame anymore. I live with a language of grace. Language of grace. Self-compassion, self-care. I love myself. I'm not hard on myself. And if I am, then I go, oh, there you are again. Oh, you're speaking that shame language to yourself. Stop it. Stop it. Don't do that. So you're just becoming aware, and then you're going, oh, there it is again. Okay. Woo. Yeah. She says then to consciously breathe and be aware of your bodily sensations. And we talked a lot about that in our first intention, doing that important breathing exercise. I also love the grounding exercise. You just put your feet on the ground, you sit in a chair, you put your hands on your top of your legs, your thighs, and you just calm yourself from the top of your head to the bottom of your feet. There's also a beautiful mindfulness tool called the Body Scan, and I will put these links on our private Facebook community page, which is Stronger Every Day, a heart-lifting online community on Facebook. She says, be non-judgmental and compassionate with yourself. This one was the hardest for me. So I studied Kristen Neff's book, A Mindful Guide to Self-Compassion. Kristen Neff, N-E-F-F. Very, very helpful. Just recognize that this pattern's existed for really good reasons. Some of these defense mechanisms and coping skills got you through life, got you to where you are, especially if you've had childhood trauma. If you've had any kind of childhood trauma that has just put itself in your implicit memory and subconsciously has guided your life and kept you safe, you just got to be kind to yourself. You got to be kind to yourself. Judging yourself is fundamental to lots of us, but it's one of the most damaging aspects of our personality is to judge ourselves and be so harshly self-critical. And that's where understanding the Enneagram will come into play, because an Enneagram 1 is a perfectionist, is a reformer, is someone who's really, really hard on themselves. They have an inner critic that talks to them all day long. I live with a 1. I have a daughter who's a 1. And so we want to, instead of judging ourselves or listening to an inner mental critic who's harsh, invite a fair witness in. Invite someone, that aspect of yourself that's going to be observant and non-judgmental, to be your ally. Being non-judgmental will allow you to experience more freedom in your life. You know, you have to talk back. You have to talk back to the inner critic. Stop telling me to judge myself. I'm not going to do it anymore. I talk to myself all the time. So she offers this. Because this is a new and challenging approach, it's natural to repress sensations, which lead to exaggerated internal tension. The anatomy of repression is going to be on the Speak Healing Words podcast today. Numb yourself so that you don't feel, act out pain that you may be feeling, or short-circuit the experience too rapidly, determining that you've done enough. So you just want to give this time. Give it time and acknowledge the process, she says. Release the pattern. Really, however you're going to do that, whatever framework you look at life through, I will look at it through the framework of faith. I will talk to God. I will pray. I will get on my face before God. I will ask Him to please, please help me. Help me through this. God, please help me. I need your help. Send wise people into my life that will help me find new ways of living life, new rhythms, new patterns. She writes this, I love this. She says, pain does not get resolved by judging, denying, or avoiding ourselves, or by identifying with and reinforcing it. Your reactions to pain provide the basis of your personality's patterns, And those patterns are what lead you to think there's something wrong with you. But use of this process, which highlights the integration of breath and attention with non-judgment and curiosity as a powerful vehicle for transformation, will lead you to greater compassion for yourself and others who have troubling patterns. It's a journey. I'm going to very much encourage you to get deep living. If you need more help on the whole entire process of how to rewrite your story, my book, Overcoming Hurtful Words, is on Amazon. You can get that today. I have so many helps and teachings for that. So our second intention, I am wide open to new daily rhythms and patterns that bring me to wholeness and freedom. Identify the patterns that are troubling you, acknowledge them, and find help on how to transform them into new, healthy patterns and rhythms. And I'm here for you. I want to close with the beautiful words from Proverbs 2, written by the brilliant, wise Solomon. And it's the benefits of wisdom. This is the wisdom proverb. And a huge part of personal growth and spiritual transformation is wisdom, becoming wise. My child, listen to what I say. And this is as if wisdom is speaking this. I call wisdom the beautiful. She's a beautiful woman and she takes on a maternal voice here. My child, listen to what I say and treasure my commands. Tune your ears to wisdom. Yeah. Wisdom and folly, wisdom and foolishness. Tune your ears to wisdom and concentrate on understanding. Cry out for insight and ask for understanding. Search for them as you would for silver. Seek them like hidden treasures. This is what I've done. This is the passion for wanting to be a whole person who lives in freedom, who no longer has to look outside of him or herself for the value, worth, and dignity that is our God-given birthright. Seek it. Cry out for wisdom, understanding, knowledge, truth. Then you will understand what it means to fear the Lord, and you will gain knowledge of God. For the Lord grants wisdom, and out of his mouth comes knowledge and understanding. He will give you a treasure of common sense to the honest. He is a shield to those who walk with integrity. He guards the paths of the just and protects those who are faithful to him. Then you will understand what is right and just and fair, and you will find the right way to go. For wisdom will enter your heart. I love that. And knowledge will fill you with joy. Wise choices will watch over you, and understanding will keep you safe. I love that. May wisdom enter your heart, and may joy just overwhelm you today as you are setting this very simple yet strategic intention into motion in your life. I am open. I am wide open to new ways of doing life, to new rhythms, new practices that will make me become whole and free. Yeah, it's good. Remember, always remember, you, my friend, have value, worth, and dignity, and you're wise beyond your years. And you will make your way to new daily rhythms that bring you so much joy and so much fulfillment and so much meaning and really beautiful relationships within your family. Until next time.